Renade Richter was a devoted mother and grandmother who had always put her family first, sacrificing her own retirement savings to support her son Max and his wife Lena through thick and thin, only to face the ultimate betrayal that shattered her world and ignited a fierce journey toward empowerment and self-discovery. It all began on a seemingly ordinary afternoon when Renade, a 68-year-old widow living alone in her modest suburban home, stumbled upon social media posts that revealed the secret wedding of Max and Lena, a lavish affair attended by family and friends, complete with elegant decorations, flowing champagne and joyful toasts. Yet she, the woman who had poured endless resources into their lives, was conspicuously absent. For 3 long years, Renade had been their financial lifeline, paying their $500 monthly rent without fail, which amounted to $18,000 alone, stocking their pantry with groceries at an estimated $200 per month, totaling $7,200, buying them furniture like the $1,200 living room set that made their apartment feel like a home, covering Lena's medical emergencies to the tune of $800, lending $2,500 for a car loan that was never repaid, fixing their air conditioner for $600, and sprinkling in gifts for birthdays and holidays adding up to $3,000. In total, she calculated later with a heavy heart, she had drained $33,400 from her savings and pension, money meant for her golden years, all because she believed in helping her only child build a stable life. But Lena's cold words echoed in her mind like a dagger. Only special people were invited, delivered casually over the phone when Renade confronted them, as if her exclusion was a minor inconvenience rather than a profound rejection. Max had lied, claiming it was just an intimate courthouse ceremony for the two of them, but the photos told a different story. Cousins, aunts, old friends all beaming in group shots, while Renade sat at home oblivious and hurt. The humiliation burned deep, yet what stung even more was Lena's audacious call just days later, pleading about the overdue rent and expecting Renade to wire the money as usual, pretending the betrayal had never happened, treating her like an ATM rather than a mother-in-law who deserved respect and inclusion. This was the turning point. Renade's eyes opened to the exploitation she had endured, realizing she wasn't family in their eyes but a mere resource to be tapped until dry. Internally torn between love for her son and the rage of being used, she decided enough was enough, no more enabling their dependency, no more confusing her generosity with genuine affection. The confrontation escalated quickly when Renade took decisive action, marching to her bank that very week to cancel the automatic transfers and block any access Max and Lena had to her accounts, a move that sent shockwaves through their entitled world. They showed up at her doorstep unannounced, Max's face twisted in anger, Lena's eyes calculating, accompanied by a slick lawyer in a cheap suit who spouted concerns about Renade's mental health and suggested she sign over power of attorney for her own protection. It was a blatant power grab disguised as filial duty. The lawyer cited vague, concerning behaviors like her recent social media scrolling and isolation, twisting her pain into evidence of incompetence, while Max nodded along, claiming he just wanted to ensure her finances were managed properly, meaning of course funneled back to them. They revealed their greed outright, mentioning her house, her savings, the inheritance they assumed was theirs by right, viewing her not as a mother but as an obstacle to their lifestyle. Renade's heart pounded, but her resolve hardened. She stood firm in her living room, the same space where she had once hosted family dinners, and declared, "Out, all of you, get out of my house," her voice steady despite the tears welling up. Max threatened her with loneliness, saying she'd regret it, that no one else would care for her in old age. But Renade chose solitude over subjugation, slamming the door behind them and changing the locks the next day, her hands shaking yet empowered by the act of reclaiming her space. This backlash only fueled her determination. She contacted her trusted attorney, Mr. Weber, a specialist in elder rights who immediately recognized the patterns of financial abuse, a federal crime often perpetrated by those closest, involving manipulation and coercion. Together, they fortified her defenses, installing security cameras around the property to document any harassment, opening new bank accounts unlinked to the old ones, amending her will to exclude Max and Lena entirely, ensuring her assets would go to charities for elder protection instead. Mr. Weber explained how abusers like them escalate when cut off, preying on guilt and societal expectations of family loyalty, but Renade was done feeling guilty. She had given everything and received betrayal in return. As the days turned into weeks, Renade sought solace beyond the legal battles, reconnecting with the world she had neglected while playing endless provider. She visited her local beauty salon for the first time in months, getting her hair styled and chatting with the stylists about everything but her woes, feeling a spark of normalcy return. Neighbors noticed her withdrawal and reached out. One in particular, Eleanor Brooks, a sprightly 72-year-old widow next door who had endured similar exploitation from her own children years ago, became her confidant and pillar of strength over cups of tea in the garden. Eleanor shared stories that mirrored Renade's, how her kids had made her feel indispensable with constant emergencies, only to question her sanity when she stopped the money flow, isolating her until she fought back. They create the crises, then blame you for reacting, Eleanor wisely noted, helping Renade see the manipulation tactics, the wedding exclusion to punish independence, the fake concern to regain control. With Eleanor's encouragement, Renade joined a senior community group, volunteering at local events and rediscovering hobbies like gardening, which filled her days with purpose rather than worry. Yet peace was short-lived. Max and Lena harassed her relentlessly, parking outside her home for hours, banging on doors at night, even spreading rumors in the neighborhood about her declining mental state. One evening, they trespassed into her backyard, shouting accusations, forcing Renade to call the police, who arrived swiftly, issuing a temporary restraining order that barred them from coming within 500 feet. The officers sympathized, noting how common such family disputes turned abusive, and Renade felt validated for the first time. But the abusers didn't stop. They reported her to social services, claiming elder neglect and paranoia, prompting a visit from a well-meaning but misled social worker who knocked on her door asking probing questions about her isolation and finances. Renade, forewarned by Mr. Weber, refused to engage without counsel, and her lawyer arrived to defend her autonomy, presenting bank statements, camera footage, and medical records proving her sound mind and proactive steps. The social worker left empty-handed, apologizing for the intrusion and closing the case, acknowledging no signs of self-neglect or danger, only a strong woman protecting herself. The escalation peaked when Max and Lena filed a formal lawsuit in family court to declare Renade mentally incompetent and appoint Max as her guardian, a despicable move to seize control of her assets under the guise of care. The complaint was riddled with lies. False witness statements from paid acquaintances claiming she hoarded medications and forgot names, fabricated evidence of unpaid bills that were actually theirs. Even a testimony from Dr. Lehman, a shady doctor they consulted, alleging Renade refused psychiatric evaluation and showed signs of dementia. They painted her as a danger to herself, isolated and irrational, motivated purely by greed for her $200,000 home equity and remaining savings. Renade was devastated but not defeated. With Mr. Weber's guidance, they launched a counter-investigation that dismantled the fraud piece by piece. The pharmacist, Mr. Green, admitted under oath he was coerced into signing a statement about irregular prescriptions that never happened. Renade's records were impeccable. Neighbor Mr. Davis, swayed by Lena's tears, recanted his claims of odd behavior when confronted with timelines showing it was misinformation. Renade underwent thorough cognitive testing by renowned psychiatrist Dr. Moore, who testified unequivocally to her excellent mental health. Sharp memory, logical reasoning, and emotional resilience far above average for her age, backed by standardized tests scoring her in the top percentile. Friends from the salon, Eleanor, and other neighbors took the stand, describing Renade's active social life, her volunteering, her clear-headed decisions post-betrayal. In the courtroom, under fluorescent lights that made everything feel stark and real, Renade testified herself. Her voice clear and composed as she detailed the $33,400 exploitation, the secret wedding snub, the power of attorney ambush, and how stopping the funds revealed their true colors. "I loved them with money because I thought that's what family needed," she said, tears streaming but chin held high. "But love isn't a transaction. They betrayed me, and now they want to steal my freedom too." The judge, Miller, a no-nonsense veteran of elder cases, saw through the scheme, recognizing the greed-driven motives and patterns of abuse documented in expert reports. In a resounding victory, the court denied guardianship, affirmed Renade's full competence and autonomy, and even ordered Max and Lena to pay her legal fees, slapping them with a warning about potential charges for perjury and harassment. In the aftermath, Renade emerged transformed, celebrating with a small gathering of true friends, Eleanor, Mr. Weber, salon buddies, who toasted her strength with cake and laughter in her living room. Now a sanctuary of independence. She sold the house that held too many painful memories, pocketing a tidy sum to fund her new chapter in a vibrant city center apartment overlooking parks and cafes, where she could walk to art classes, travel agencies, and volunteer centers without looking over her shoulder. Europe beckoned first. A solo trip to Paris, wandering the Louvre and sipping coffee by the Seine, feeling alive in ways she hadn't since widowhood. She enrolled in painting workshops, her canvases blooming with colors of resilience, bold reds for anger transmuted, soft blues for peace found. Volunteering at an elder abuse hotline gave her purpose, sharing her story anonymously to help others spot the signs early. The guilt trips, the isolation tactics, the financial drains disguised as need. Word filtered back sporadically about Max and Lena. They had downsized to a cramped rental. Lena took a job at a retail store. Their marriage strained under financial reality without Renade's crutch. But she felt no pity, only closure. Reflecting on it all one evening as the sun set over her balcony, Renade journaled her hard-won wisdom. She had confused provision with parenthood, enabling entitlement instead of teaching responsibility. True love respects boundaries, doesn't demand wallets. And at 68, freedom tasted sweeter than any family tie built on lies. She donated to organizations fighting elder abuse, advocated in community forums, and urged others, viewers of her story shared online, to prioritize self-love, document everything, seek legal allies early, and remember that dignity isn't inherited or bought, it's claimed. Renade Richter's tale is a beacon, from betrayed provider to empowered survivor, proving that even in the twilight years, one can rewrite the script, emerging stronger, freer, and fiercely protective of the heart that once gave too much. In sharing this, she hopes to spark conversations, prevent similar pains, and remind us all that self-respect is the ultimate inheritance we owe ourselves. Word count approximately 2,000. A full arc of betrayal, battle, and beautiful rebirth.